abortion be up to the woman? Now, this was a topic I've been avoiding for quite a while because I know that many people who watch my videos will not agree with me. Very many. and, it wasn't easy to come to this conclusion that I'm about to tell you, even as far as just completely my own spiritual views and, the pros and cons of what my opinion entails. Now, as a Hindu, I believe that the soul enters into, basically the fetus, after the egg and sperm combine, but only when the sushumna is starting to develop, which is one of the first things in the brain that starts to develop. If you want to look up sushumna, that's fine. It's very much connected to the Ida and Pingala nadis, which run along the spinal column, and the sushumna is kind of at the head and runs along the center of the spinal column. But at any rate, that's kind of Hindu yogic knowledge. Now, the soul does enter into the fetus fairly early on, very early on, in fact, and that means that there is a soul in the stomach of a woman who holds that baby in them. Now, in contrast, the woman herself is an already born human being. A human being that is established, that has already been born, that has entered into the karmic strain of events that is in this world. Now, to tell her that she has to carry a life that she doesn't want to carry, has to carry anything that she doesn't want to carry, is to subject her to slavery, is to force her into slavery. So if she is demanded by law to carry a baby that she does not want to carry, you're making her a slave. Now, this is why it was so hard for me to come to a conclusion, because the baby has a soul in the stomach. Shortly after the sperm and egg combine, maybe a few weeks, maybe more, but shortly after, the soul is there, I believe. But to make a woman into a slave by telling them that they have to carry that person is, I think, a greater crime than allowing her to have the choice. A woman should always be able to have the choice of what's going to happen with her body, with what she has to carry. And if you assume that, okay, that's that soul in the stomach of that woman, I believe that there's a soul there too. If you assume that because there's a soul there, you can force a woman to carry that child to term, then you're basically condoning slavery, because that is slavery. You're forcing that woman, that human being, to carry another human being, to raise that person, to birth that person, and to take on the weight of having a child. Even if she puts him or her up for adoption later on, you're forcing that person to deal with the pregnancy in a slave-like relationship with the state. So that is more unacceptable than it is to let the woman decide if she's going to abort the child. And this is not an easy decision. This is not an easy conclusion to come to. It's a very painful one to come to, because most Hindus, the vast majority of Hindus, and I'm Hindu, believe that abortion is the worst crime, because you're harming a child that is unborn, that cannot defend itself. And now harming that unborn child and that cannot defend itself, cannot put up any resistance, is literally the worst crime to most Hindus. I could say most, but a large percentage of Hindus in the modern day, maybe not most, but I've heard Hindus talk about abortion before, and not necessarily Swamis. Swamis don't focus on abortion; they focus more on self-liberation, and I sincerely doubt that many Swamis would force a woman to carry a child to term, because that's basically putting her in slavery, and that's exactly what gurus are opposite of. Gu means darkness, and Ru means dispeller. So the dispellers of darkness would not allow slavery to happen, even if it's at the cost of a soul to be. They would not allow slavery to happen. But at any rate, I suspect that many people who watch this video, that usually watch my videos, will disagree with me, but we cannot force women into slavery just because we have certain ideals. I mean, I would love for there to be a process where if a woman wanted to have an abortion, we could take the child and put him in a tank and he'd grow up healthy and fine, but we just don't have the technology for that. Because it does break my heart when, I've had a few friends that have had abortions. And I mean, what do you say to a woman who has had an abortion or a couple abortions? Do you condemn them? Do you say that, how could you have done this? This is terrible. And what would that produce in them? Would that help them to be a better person? No, it would just make them feel worse. And then the persons that are gone already wouldn't be helped, and the person that you're accusing, that you're harming with your words, wouldn't be helped. So what's the point of pressing your view onto them, to women that have already had abortions? And of course, women that I know, I would recommend to not have the abortion, but I wouldn't say, okay, you're going to hell if you do have an abortion, or you're just a terrible person if you have an abortion. I would, this is just me speaking as somebody who doesn't know anybody who's thinking about having an abortion, but who knows women who have had abortions. I would say, really consider what you're doing. Look at the possibility that a human being within you could exist in this world and bring so much good, and could be raised by you and love you. And you could have this exchange of love that wouldn't have existed without that human being having been born. Bear this human being, I would say, and see how it works out. At the worst case scenario, there's adoption. But there's this possibility that you will be a great mother. You will be a great parent, and that soul within your belly will become a great person and a great, not only member of society, but someone who will take care of you and look upon you as mother in a way that you wouldn't receive from anyone else had you not been a mother. So I'd highly recommend that anybody thinking about abortion to not get one, but of course it should be the woman's choice. It doesn't make any sense to force women into slavery just because we have certain ideals, especially me being a man. I'm not even a woman. To force my ideals onto a woman as far as abortion goes would be ridiculous, and I wouldn't even want to do it even if I could. And of course the decision should be thought about, should be recognized, and should be constantly addressed before a woman decides, you as an individual thinking about abortion, decides to abort that child. But just don't think that it's a simple issue. Nothing is black and white. Most of the most terrible dilemmas that we find ourselves in have more to do with human freedom than they do, or human freedom in relation to dogma. Dogma being the opposite of human freedom the vast majority of the time. Dogma being old religious laws or old societal laws that are meant to keep people in line, whereas freedom, in societal sense, has to do with an individual being given the same rights as everyone else, and not being devalued just because a society has a certain amount of laws that they abide by or support, or a different culture that they support. At any rate, thank you very much for watching. I predict that a lot of people who watch my videos will not agree with my views on this, and that's completely fine, but I think that, should abortion be up to the woman, to the women who is to bear that child, is to bear that responsibility? Of course. So, abortion should be completely up to the future mother, or the future, person who has had the abortion. And nobody else has a right to tell them what to do. I would make suggestions, but nobody else has the right to tell them what to do. And these laws that try to prevent abortion are just making slaves of the women who do not want to have the child. So, thank you very much for watching. This has been a hard topic, and it's a moral dilemma that I've thought about for many years and only came to a conclusion a few years ago. But if you thought this video was interesting, or thought-provoking, feel free to hit that like button down there, that thumbs up. If you want to comment, if you agree with me, disagree with me, or think that I just don't understand the situation, feel free to shoot down in the comment section below. I try to get to all comments and respond to as many as possible. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope all of y'all have a great day.